Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Talon Ellithorpe. I'm the practice manager here at Tustin Longevity Center, and I am joined, as usual, by Dr. Rita Ellithorpe, the founder and medical director here. Today is Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021, and you are tuned into our Ask Us Anything. We sit with you twice a week, every week, and look for questions from you that I will pass along to the doctor, and we answer those questions how we would approach your health question, your nutrition question here at our office if you are a patient sitting in front of us. And of course, this is meant to educate and to be informational. This is not at all meant to be a substitution for your relationship with your healthcare professional. We do want you to continue to see a doctor and follow up with your specific questions with your full medical history where you can get a full workup done with them. Mm-hmm. How are you doing today, Dr. Ellithorpe?
I'm blessed.
I am too. It is a good, I see that we're already getting some questions in on the chat, and I have some questions that were emailed in. You want to dive right in?
I have a joke first.
Okay, let's hear it.
So what do dentists call their x-rays of your teeth?
What do they call the x-rays of your teeth? Picture, I don't know.
Toothpicks.
Toothpicks, so of course. I thought it had something to do with a pick. All right, well, we have a question that was emailed into us here from Lisa, and by the way, you can participate live with us along the way by posting your questions in the chat section off to the side of the video here in YouTube. You do have to be logged into YouTube to do that, or you can email your questions into us any day of the week, any time of the week. Just make sure that subject has something along the lines of YouTube questions, questions for live stream. Those will be sent in to us. So here are some questions that were emailed into us this past week. Lisa asks, I've been exposed to friends with germs, both run-of-the-mill and COVID viruses. I feel confident that I'm doing all I can to keep my body healthy, and with God's blessing, I will not get sick. But the germs may get me sometime this season. My question is, at the onset of symptoms, does Dr. E recommend starting the dosage for ivermectin immediately, or wait until it is certain COVID is the germ?
I think what you can do is, it's such a safe item. Ivermectin got the Nobel Prize in 2015 as one of the world's greatest gifts of medicine in their list of medicines they recognize as helping world health. It's been given 4 billion times to mothers that are pregnant, nursing, and all age groups. So it's a safe medication. Therefore, if you feel that you're coming down with something and you have the knowledge of what a flu is like, the aches, the myalgias, the sudden energy loss, then I think it's reasonable to go ahead and start taking the ivermectin once a day for 5 days until you get your COVID test and such like that. It is appearing that it might be very beneficial even for the influenza viral flus as well. So yes, along with your vitamin D, your low-carb diet, your plenty of water, you're not eating late, and all these things, it should be a great help.
Okay.
So go ahead and take it at the onset of symptoms.
Dr. E has been talking about taking orthodigestine for help to absorb proteins and fats. As an A-type blood, she has also recommended me to do the same. Excuse me. Currently, I am taking Metagenics Spectrazyme Metagest, either 1 or 2 per meal, depending on the size of the meal. Should I switch to orthodigestine when the bottle is empty, or stay with the same product? Either way, am I taking the correct amount to do the best job?
Well, that depends on your symptoms. Metagest is a good product. Spectrazyme it's called. And I'm happy with it. I'm glad you're taking it if you're a blood type A. I wouldn't say you have to switch to orthodigestine. I use both. I do use orthodigestine more. I happen to like the company orthodigestine more than Spectrazyme. I will use Spectrazyme occasionally when I am looking for a higher concentrate of digestive enzymes. So
are they enzymes, or is it HCl that's in the Metagest?
Betaine hydrochloric acid with digestive enzymes, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, stick with it, it's fine. I like orthomolecular over the company Metagenics.
Okay. And how about that dosage that she's taking, 1 to 2 per meal, depending on the size of the meal?
Right.
That's a good amount? Okay.
Right.
I recently uncovered a book by Sherry Rogers MD, Detoxify or Die, that I believe Dr. E recommended to me many years ago. We have a far infrared sauna that we've started using this year. The book recommends supplements before, during, and after to improve the effectiveness of the sauna. What does Dr. E recommend for the most effective sauna use?
I think that's a minutia. You know, I think that's very, very time consuming. If you have enough time to pay that much attention to yourself, go for it. You know, what the sauna is doing is helping to raise up heat shock proteins. Your temperature, my temperature in my infrared goes up to 101, 102 sometimes. This done 3 times a week, 4 times a week is known to extend life. And there are many biochemical benefits of that heat shock protein and the temperature. If you're taking systemic enzymes, that will help with your detox. So if your day, I don't think timing it right before and after your entrance and exit from the sauna is necessary. It is requiring plenty of water.
Yes.
That's the only thing I would take in with me is a jug of water, my water bottle. Acetylcysteine is the precursor to glutathione. You could take extra vitamin C.
Juice Plus.
Juice Plus would be a tremendous antioxidant. But again, you don't have to do any timing.
Right.
I think that's much to do about nothing. If you're taking it throughout the day, it's already there, ready to do its work when you're in the sauna.
It's probably more theoretical. Nobody's studying this. If you take vitamins 15 minutes before your sauna, I mean, I can't see somebody doing that.
Right, yeah. So I like Sherry Rogers, and I like her books and stuff. But sometimes when you're writing a book, you just add in what I would call fluff.
Okay. Jumping into the live chat here, we have a question from Debbie, and she asks, "Hi, Dr. Rita, does chicken, beef, fish from a restaurant still provide any nutrients since it will not be the grass-fed, hormone-free, wild-caught versions?"
Well, yes, it will, of course. But the unfortunate thing is it will bring more than likely contaminants with it. And I've been reading articles lately, so don't take this as dogma. But some of the articles I've been reading last weekend were on nanoparticulate materials that they are suggesting to put into foods, which are biometrically scannable by your smartphones and devices. And this is space age, material. I don't think we should be talking about this being implemented without a thorough, evaluation of what this means. What are these nanoparticulates? Yes, they are metallic, and yes, this can be pulled out with EDTA chelation therapy. So I'm glad I'm doing EDTA chelation therapy, but you've got glyphosates as well. You've got high fructose corn syrup hidden into making you think that their product is the best tasting because it's the most satiating sweet sugar that exists. So it is the contaminants that come with it, not that you won't get value out of what you're eating. And so I would very cautiously do that. Last night I bought a ironclad Le Croissant, cast iron pan that's coated by Le Croissant. And I heated up my meatloaf that I made on it, and I had some raw cheddar cheese from organic pastures and organic asparagus spears, and I was able to heat that in the oven with that pan, and I was able to bake some bread. I'm using the Dutch oven and baking some healthy bread. So I did all that, and as I was sitting at dinner with my family, it was like a restaurant meal. So it was quite remarkable, and it's a joy to cook. So I would say, get back to me. One of my wedding gifts 50 years ago was the cookbook called The Joy of Cooking. Yeah. And so I would say keep the restaurant experiences limited.
Right. Yeah, if I think about the question, eating out should be a treat, a celebratory thing. And of course, you're giving up for convenience, for entertainment, let's say, the quality control that you have when you are out sourcing the ingredients. So what are you going to do, never eat out? No, I think you just have to understand that there are some not concessions, but compromises that you're going to be making when you eat out.
Yeah, I think your term quality control is an excellent term. I remember my father talking about that all the time at Armor Food Research when I would tag him around. My mother was very, very sick, and they literally let me go to work with my dad for many weeks,
Right.
you know, and it was always quality control, and that's
But as far as the nutrients go, I mean, fish is fish, beef is beef. The nutrients are the same, other than you could talk about, or we can suppose what other things are being added, which is what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. How about this question? Is carbonated water okay to drink?
I would say on an occasional base, carbonated water will acidify your body because of the CO2 that they're using in it to give it the bubbles. You know, so you have to. You're supposed to be blowing that out, you know, with your expiration. So it's will make you acid. So I don't think it's your hydrational drink. You don't drink Perrier to claim your 80 ounces of water a day. You might have one bottle of it in the day, which is a lot, I think, you know, if you did it every day. But I think you could do that occasionally.
And certainly a health. So we're clear this is not to be a substitute for your hydration for the day, but it's certainly a better choice if you're having it, let's say, out to eat or at dinner with friends than a soda or something like that.
Oh my goodness, worlds better.
Okay, question from SM says, Dr. Rita, what does the Delta variant mean? Are people with antibodies from already having COVID protected against variants?
It appears that is absolutely true. It looks like with that Israeli study 2 months ago that it's very clear that those who had a natural exposure to the SARS-CoV-2, no matter what variant it is or shall be, it appears that the robust durability of the antibodies are very satisfying and able to look at the entirety of the virus as opposed to some tiny fraction of it, which the vaccines are aimed at making it just to the spike protein. So yes, it's quite durable.
And what does the Delta variant mean?
It came out of India, and they started noticing it, and they sequenced it, and they looked at that portion of the number of nucleotide bases that were variable in the hundreds that make up the spike protein. It doesn't address the rest, but it's largely a small, tiny fraction of the SARS-CoV-2 original that was codified by the German virologist in Germany right around February of 2020. And so those little nucleotide variations discovered in India gave it a location because of its predominance. It got identified and labeled. So there's all kinds of Greek alphabets, you know, lambda,
Alpha, beta.
mu, and so they just named it Delta. But your natural exposure, I have natural exposure, and I have robust antibodies.
Right. And just to put it into layman's terms, coronavirus is a term of a family, a hierarchy of viruses.
Yes.
One of those being SARS-CoV-19, which is the name that we labeled this subclassification of a coronavirus type.
Well, COVID-19 is the disease. It's the symptom,
okay.
Whereas SARS-CoV-2 is the virus.
That's the virus, right. And viruses, they mutate, they change, and then when we identify a new or a mutated strain of it that prevails, then we give it a different name. So that's the Delta.
It's SARS-CoV-2 Delta variant,
Got it.
SARS-CoV-2 Lambda variant, yeah.
Understood. Okay. What is the difference between parent clinician oils and Juice Plus Omega Blend plant oils?
Well, it is the emphasis on it being primarily linoleic and alpha-linolenic acid, okay? These are the two essential fatty acids a human cannot make. Whereas Juice Plus oils come from the sea plant source bases, And I presume that some is there. I haven't looked at a complete assay of the Juice Plus oils, but it doesn't have the predominance of the alpha-linoleic and linoleic acids.
The clinicians' PEOs were created specifically by Brian Peskin to have, that was the focus. Let's get those truly essential oils in there, those fats.
Right.
Okay. Hope that answers your question. Happy Wednesday. How can I lower homocysteine levels? Vitamin Bs don't help. I have MTHFR.
Well, Juice Plus is researched in the Journal of Cardiology. I forget what year. I would say it was probably around 2008 is when in the Journal of Cardiology the Juice Plus users had a statistically significant drop in their homocysteine. So I use both with my patients that have difficulty in lowering their homocysteine, along with all the other healthy lifestyles. Remember, homocysteine is just a waste
product.
It's a waste product. So it's telling the doctor and the patient that your cells, all the little engines, mitochondrial engines of your cells, are producing waste when they give you energy. Every ATP has some waste product produced. That waste product collectively is called homocysteine. Those who have methyl-tetrahydrofolate, and there's about 20% of the population that does, those who have this difficulty in methylation, because it's to put a carbon methyl group onto some waste like that is what the biochemistry is. You put a methyl group on it to tag it for removal, so to say. It's like putting a garbage bag to take your garbage out. And so the methylation is harder in those who have the SNP, methyl-tetrahydrofolate, or ApoE. These are other areas about methylation. And methylation is very important in every part of your health. So taking extra B complex, that is called methylated B complex, taking Juice Plus, and a healthy lifestyle, drinking your water, taking a walk, going to bed early, not eating late, being low carb, is helping this machine. Remember, I always talk about us being, 180-pound roasts cooking at 98.6 degrees all the time. So you're a roast cooking at 98.6. So God worked it out that if you drink enough water, if you don't put in too much high octane foods like carbohydrates excessively, then the burn will be more sustained, more controlled, the waste produced will be more minimized, and you'll live longer. Think of putting JP4 jet fuel into a Volkswagen. You put that high octane into the Volkswagen, it's going to burn the seals, and you're going to blow out your engine. So if you eat too many carbs, you're taking too much high-powered, cheap energy, high-fired up material,
right.
So forth. Another way I like to describe it is if you want a nice warm home and you have a fireplace or a stove, you could put in newspaper and keep on feeding newspaper, and it'll burn intensely, flaming each piece, and you have to sit there constantly feeding paper into your stove in the house. That's what people who are diabetic, they have to be eating constantly because they've lost their insulin or they've made it insulin sensitive, so that they're always worried about hunger, feeding themselves because they've burned their seals, so to say. We can repair that with phospholipids, with gradual reduction and fastings. Insulin type 1 diabetics are another story. That has to be clearly managed by a physician, but it is achievable. Mm-hmm. And so that's a long story about homocysteine.
Yes.
I'm just trying to say it's
I really
waste.
like that analogy of a fireplace. Mm-hmm. That helps explain it.
Yeah, if you put a big log in that fireplace, that represents a fat, a protein that's slowly burning, and then you're free to get a lot of other work done in the day.
Right, exactly. And some things that we could do other than the things we preach on every week, which is drink a lot of water, exercise, get good sleep, avoid excess carbohydrates. You mentioned Juice Plus has been clinically researched to help with homocysteine reduction, and we've seen that for years here in the clinic. And then look for a good methylated B complex, and we have several options here.
Right, we do, yes.
The TLC methyl B complex is the first one that comes to mind. Okay, great. Seth asks, are air fryers safe? I can just say that I jumped down the rabbit hole because my wife wanted one of these air fryers, got on the air fryer craze. It's basically just it's a convection oven which just circulates air around. It's just doing it in a smaller place on your countertop. It's more convenient than in your stove. So is your stove oven, is your oven safe? Well, I think these air fryers, they're smaller. Oftentimes they're made with like plastics and things. So that I worry about, you know, what's getting heated up other than the food in there. But other than that, I'd say you're just heating with air.
Yeah, it's what you put in to air fry. And if you're putting in a lot of vegetables to crisp, then you're going to get a higher carb diet. So be careful. If you're going to air fry, you know, I don't have an air fryer. But do you air fry meat in there, chicken, fish? Well, then I think it's fine if you use that. Just
if you
be
can
careful.
put it in the oven, you can put it in the air fryer for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we cook foods, we have to think about what is happening to our food when we cook it. There's certain fats, particularly, that do not do well with high temperatures. Like an olive oil, you wouldn't want to cook in a 400 degree plus setting. So what are you putting on there?
I use coconut oil and I use butter and I use lard. So I have a bucket of lard that I use.
A bucket of lard. That sounds like the pioneer times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that seems like you have a couple minutes left if anybody wants to throw in another question there. Other than that, Dr. E, any thoughts, patient cases?
Well, just for fun, I'd like to give our group of people, there seems to be a repeat group of people, and I'd like to give us a little name like TLC. Someone else on Monday nights came up with TLC Health Freedom Seekers. So I'd like to refer to the group as, hi, my Health Freedom Seekers from TLC, or I need a little name. So start putting your suggestions for some cute little name so we can call ourselves something, you know?
Yeah.
The group that we are. We're having so much fun on Monday nights at 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and I certainly have fun here every Wednesday. I'm even thinking of doing it more often on my own. Those Monday nights are so much fun, so relaxed.
We did get another question in here. It says, it's been recommended by Dr. Merrick, one of our other physicians here, that I get 3 tests: immunofood, RBC mineral, and the CMA and redox. Can't afford all 3. Most important, A plus blood type, HSCRP is 3.0. So the immunofood is obviously going to tell you your food sensitivities. The RBC mineral is going to look off of blood serum at heavy metals and toxins, and the CMA and redox, that is like the spectra cell that looks at your antioxidant and nutritional analysis.
Which would I do first? I would do the immunofood allergy first.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, A-type blood people, they start out with trouble digesting their food. That's the get-go from birth. And if that happens, then you're going to have more to your single membrane lining your gut, little divots, you know, dings and holes.
Right.
And those, so that other foods that you wouldn't normally have a reaction to, they're going to leak through and you'll develop antibodies to it. So that would be the number one thing I would go to.
And I have to say, after being around this type of medicine for decades, and here at TLC for 15 years myself, I have heard more stories about people that learned about what their particular food sensitivities were and avoided those and how it changed their life, and also personally.
With your wife, right? Or you?
Well, her too, as well too.
Yeah.
But yes, do you remember when I moved out of the house and I moved to California and I started having eczema and other issues?
Yeah.
I finally did the immune food test, and now I learned what foods my body does not tolerate well. They didn't show up on a typical food sensitivity test or food allergy test, I should say.
Or the skin prick test, because
Yeah.
they're looking for IgE, not IgG.
Right,
And
right.
these are the slow things that slowly harm, inflame, and kill you.
Right. But what a difference that made in my health and my energy as well, too.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. I think this one's an easy one to ask, and then we'll wrap with this. Debbie asks, is Botox bad for you?
Well,
Well,
I'm going to say yes.
it is a type of, it's a toxin. It's
Yes. Yeah.
But it's put like obviously on this face to sort of, it's a neurotoxin, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They take it from like pufferfish or something.
Right, yeah. And so I would say, I would rather see you like I do. I take my estradiol cream for my natural hormone replacement.
Right.
So as I age, I've always been putting it on my face so that my complexion and my wrinkles, I know I have, the second chin here, but for the most part, I think it has helped greatly with that. I do that far rather than any Botox injection.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Okay. Well, folks, thanks again for joining us today. We're going to be back on Monday, or I should say Dr. Ellithorpe will be back. She's here every Monday evening, and you get more time with her one-on-one Mondays at 6 p.m. So mark your calendars. If you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. That really helps out us out here on the channel and gets the word spread. Like the video today, it's just a click away. You can hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's content. We look forward to seeing you on Monday at 6 p.m. And of course, we'll be back here Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Pacific. Tell your friends, tell your family. You don't have to be a patient here to ask the doctor anything. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks and be well.
God bless.